Welcome to the BigBusinessZoo.com speaker series on how to increase your sales, network, and site rank. This series features video segments that highlight powerful ways to leverage digital assets such as video, podcasts, blogging, mobile apps, and other digital tools. Today, we welcome Annette Mease, a leading expert on entrepreneurs and money, marketing, and sales. Her feature today is global reach, expert positioning, and increased sales. As a master coach, speaker, author, and workshop leader, Annette helps business owners increase their self-worth and their net worth by becoming successful, thriving entrepreneurs. She is the creator of numerous training programs, including such productions as the Breakthrough Money Archetype Training, Comfortable Conversation Sales Training, the Money Marketing and Sales Live Training, as well as the Marketing and Sales Boot Camp. We are confident you are going to receive some actionable, do-it-now types of information from this award-winning speaker and trainer. So now, here is your host, profitability strategist, marketing maven, as well as our beloved zookeeper, Catherine B. Trainer.
Welcome, everybody, to Big Business Zoos. We're in the series, Increase Your Sales, Network, and Site Rank with Digital Tools, and my guest today is Annette Mease from UnlockYourBrilliance.com. Annette, tell me about what excites you the most about your specialty in digital tools.
Well, I think the one thing that excites me the most is the idea that I can actually take advantage of not only sharing my message nationally and internationally, but also globally. And from the very beginning, in me starting my business, I knew that I was bigger than Boise, Idaho. And, that's where I started. But I knew that my message needed to go out. I just didn't know how to do that when I first started. So I started small, started doing live events here, started doing some YouTube videos and things like that. And I had people come up to me, Annette, your message is bigger than Boise, Idaho. And I said, I know, I get that. And now we have the opportunity, not just me, but everyone has the opportunity. And that's what excites me, because I firmly believe that because we are born and we live today in this time frame, that there are people who want to hear our message and are to be connected to us globally, and vice versa. We want to hear their message, and we want to be connected with them, and they happen to be born across the nation and miles away. So that's the thing that excites me, is that we each get to live our purpose and our passion, share it through digital marketing and however we do that, and we get to connect with people who we would never be able to see face to face if we were walking down the street. And so that's what excites me, is that we get to be able to have our message go out to everyone.
Right. And it's not just connecting one-on-one. You've experienced this with putting out your YouTube videos and your materials. It's not just a distance thing, it's a timing thing. That message, when you created a digital asset, is repeated over and over and over. It can be viewed once, or it can be viewed 1,000 or 1,000,000 times.
Absolutely.
By people, or they can watch it again and again. It can link to other messages. It's just, like you said, very, very exciting time.
It is, and it's a great tool because, like you're saying, people can come up and find it, and they can get connected to it. Then they go start searching, and they search for that person, and then they see more messages, and they see more videos, and they see more podcasts, and they're just consuming all of this great information, and they're just gleaning and becoming better at what they do because they hear the message. And then they feel more connected to you too. So
that's a great point about this, because especially with podcasts and with online videos that feature you as a person,
yeah,
and not just the written word, it's your voice, it's your smile, it's your personality that comes through, and that really does make people feel like they know you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then also, I think you bring in your personality and your life story and things like that into your message. It's not just cut and dried, do this, do this, do this, do this. There's a passion, there's a message, there's experiences, there's stories behind it.
Yeah.
And using this, you have the opportunity to have the time to expand
Absolutely.
what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And you do online consulting and workshops?
I do. I do online and offline training. I started offline in my business. I started just creating events every single month that were free, and they ended up 90 minutes. They started 90 minutes, and then we ended up doing 3-hour trainings. And I do that every month here. And what I started doing, because I wanted to bring more value to the people that I work with, and so what I started doing is reaching out. That's actually how I found DYNet and Casey. Is I had a desire to reach out to other people, even if they're in my same industry, to reach out and bring them in. So I started doing joint venture teleseminars, bringing them in and us, and so we're bringing both of our people together and giving them more information. And then I also started doing my own trainings, my own teleseminars that I do to help, to train. So it's just kind of evolved into this bigger snowball, and it just is, creating this momentum.
And if you do put together a seminar, it's not just one time you're done. You go in, you're done. That can be repackaged as a book. That can be repackaged as an online workshop. That can be broken into a series of podcasts.
Absolutely.
There's a multiplication effect.
Absolutely.
For your message.
Yep.
Yep. And you primarily work with women?
I do. I primarily work with women, and I've stepped into working with what I call the warrior women, and I've worked with a lot of I've worked with a lot of women. I have a tendency to desire to work with women who are go-getters, who are wanting it now, who are want to make it happen now, and they don't want to wait. Sometimes, yes, they do get in their own way, but we work through it and we get through it fast. I'm a fast pace. I'm on a mission. I'm ready to roll all the time, and so those are the kind of women that I tend to work best with, because I get them and they get me. And so that's who I like to work with, is those people who are ready to go and ready to play big now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're using digital tools, what's the top tool that you like to use? You mentioned YouTube.
Yeah, and that is the top tool.
Okay.
I really feel good on video. I am able to express. When I am on video, I pretend that there's an audience watching me. So I really perform well speaking in front of a lot of people. And so I get really passionate, and I'm able to share that passion and the energy and the feelings with it. So I prefer video, and because that's what I started with. I am learning about podcasting. I'm loving what I'm learning. I love the idea of people being able to just download it on their phones and go. I'm the type of person that is always listening to things. So if I'm driving a half hour to a networking event, I have something downloaded about sales or marketing or a class or something that I'm listening to where I'm still learning, so I can listen to it on the way. And so I love the idea of the podcast. And then also I've been checking out Blog Talk Radio. I personally have listened to Blog Talk Radio forever. And that's another way where you can take your podcast and bring it in, where again you're helping people and you're creating. I think one of the great things about podcasts, YouTube, all of these digital things that you can use is to bring people into your tribe. People who like to listen to you. They subscribe to your podcast. They subscribe to your videos because they like you. They resonate with your message. And so they're still, they're connected. And I think that's important for people to feel connected and want to listen to you. And so, again, then that's a responsibility for me as a coach and a consultant to keep on moving forward, and for me to keep on gaining and gleaning so that I can then turn around and share. But I love those. I love all of them.
Yeah, and then also you're creating continuous content. It's not just, okay, well, I'll just put a couple videos up there. You have a regular. Do you schedule yours, or do you have like an editorial calendar, or do you do time, or what's the best way for you to do that?
The best way for me to do that is, depending on the message, I will write down what I want to place in my emails, and sometimes in my emails it's just a message that happened with my child, because a lot of my followers are moms, and so I want to relate to them, so I'll tell them a story, and I'm not asking them to buy or sell anything. Here's just my message for today. Other times I have a series, so there's a sequence. There's an email campaign that's going on. There's a YouTube video campaign. Many times I'll do a video where here's video number 1, video number 2, where I split up the training and then I invite them to come to the teleseminar or invite them to come to the live training. I want to make sure I give value, and so I set it up that way. So again, it really depends on the plan that I have. In the next, I usually plan 60 to 90 days ahead so that I have, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to do it.
Right. And then that way, too, you don't have that, oh my gosh, people are expecting something tomorrow, and slapping something together.
Yeah.
You have it sequenced out, and that's one of the things that I use as far as business coaching and consulting is having segments of tasks.
Yeah.
Like some things require your full-on high energy, wow, like being on, you're doing your podcast, or doing your video.
Yeah.
That requires you to really engage. Other things like filing and paperwork and things like that can be really low energy. Other things, like for me, I do some graphic design and things like that. So I have this little stack of things that I can work on that if I've only got 10 minutes, I can pick something up and work on it.
Yeah.
Or complete it. But I have all these high energy things scheduled, and I block in time in my calendar that's my high energy time, so that I'm really engaging.
Absolutely. And especially being a mom, you're a mom, and so, especially being a mother and a wife, and I have my church, I have things that I do, and I also serve in the community. I'm on a board for helping stop bullying for children. So I have a lot of things going on, and I do exactly the same thing where I know, especially videos are high energy for me, and I know that I can't do anything after. Like, I literally have to just sit because I've given so much energy to that. Other times, if I'm just doing sales pages, I create my own sales pages. I do, in my campaigns in Infusionsoft. I can just sit down, have the TV on because I like stuff going on, and I just sit down and create it. So it's easier for me to do that. But I set time aside, and then, 3:30 comes along, and I'm with my kids doing homework. I still have young ones, and they need me, and we've got homework. We have, dinner, wash, clothes, all that kind of stuff. So that is a part of my process and a part of my scheduling.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Annette, what's your favorite way to make the world a better place?
So, for me, one of the things that I really like doing, and I didn't used to do this, as a warrior woman, I'm very competitive just by nature, and I did not, and I think it was not necessarily warrior women, but it was the way that I grew up. I was jealous of people a lot. And I didn't like the fact that some people had money and I didn't, or that they were prettier than me, or, whatever, they were skinnier, they had nicer hair, whatever it was. And so, for me, it was a challenge to be happy for someone else's success. And I've worked through that, I've healed through it, whatever you want to call it. So what I do now is, for those people that are even in my same industry, when they're successful and they're on a TV show or, yay, I'm doing this, I woot them, I congratulate them on Facebook, and I share because I want them to be happy, and I'm glad for them, because I know, just from my own experience, that when I see something or someone have something that I desire that's in my goal to have, I believe that's one way that God is showing me, you can have this because you see it. It can be accomplished and you can do this. Rather than being jealous, it's about, wow, I know that I can do that. And so I like to share other people's successes with that. Another thing that I like to do when I attend networking events, I attend a lot of networking events physically here in Boise. When I see past clients or when I see people that I'm friends with, I'll ask them how they're doing and what successes have they had and what's going on in their life. And then I congratulate them for the great things that are happening, that they're moving forward and they're making sales, or they really feel good because they made this change in their business. I really like to acknowledge that in them. And then another thing that I like to do in my strategy sessions, I offer free strategy sessions for people who are really interested in working with me. And some people are just not a fit, and some people are really a great fit. Either way, I like to give value. So, for instance, I had a conversation the other day with a woman who she absolutely was just not a fit. What I wanted to give her value, and so I helped her create a plan to put in steps exactly what she needed to do to bring in $6,000 in her business. These are the steps that you can do. And she so appreciated it. She actually said thank you on the phone, and then 2 days later, which was yesterday, she contacted me on Facebook and said, thank you so much. I've got these ideas, because I said, I want you to get in touch with me and let me know what you're doing. So she did. And she said, I've already got it set up. This is what I'm going to be doing for my group coaching. And I said, perfect. That's great. I love to give value. And the great thing is for people to actually implement it, that's high. That's good.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people won't. And so that's one way also that I like to make people's day is give them value. Whether they choose to work with me or not, I want to give value. Because I can guarantee you that if someone came along and she knew they were a fit for me, she would refer me.
Exactly. And that's, I think, thinking beyond competition.
Yeah.
And seeing even your competitors is a great referral network.
Absolutely.
I think so. And I think as women, we're more able to do that. Because we see things as more of that we're in a collective.
Yeah.
And we're not just a sole lone wolf. I'm just going to claw my way, hopefully.
Yeah, and some women, though, who have come, especially from corporate industry, when they step into being an entrepreneur, they still are in that mindset. And so, it's like, wow, we need to get out of this mindset of all of this stuff because, one of the things that I train on is what you said, that your voice is different, the way you present. If you and I were exactly the same, teaching exactly the same, and even if we literally said the same words, there would be people who would be attracted to you and people attracted to me because of the resonance that we have and the energy that we carry. And I believe that's so important for women to get and to understand that they are so credible just the way they are. And how they show up energetically is so important, where if they show up energetically of, ooh, she's a competitor, I can't talk to her, rather than, wow, I wonder if we could collaborate together. I wonder what we could do and create together. It would make it so that women would feel more confident and bring in the people that are really supposed to be working with them.
I think one of the things that and we're kind of shifting into the women thing, which this is great.
Yeah.
One of the things that women struggle with is claiming expertise.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that I worked on some material because I have 6 children.
Yeah.
And I have an MBA. And then I realized as I was in classes for getting my MBA back in the early 2000s, a lot of what I was learning and how I would apply it was based on things I learned as a mom.
Yes.
As far as management, as far as people, as far as leverage, as far as motivation, as far as resource allocation and planning and everything like that. As a mom, you really do develop skills and abilities that have value.
Yeah.
And I do think that there has to be study and work. You can't just say I'm an expert. You have to be able to produce results and repeatedly produce results.
Yeah.
But to build women's confidence or anyone's confidence.
Yeah. And I think one of the things, especially with that, is that there's been a tendency for women to kind of sit back and to not claim their brilliance and to not claim that magnificence. As an example, we were on a VIP call with a gal who just came into our Warrior Women boot camp yesterday. And the question that I asked with her, I said, what is your uniqueness? And what would you say if someone said, why should I work with you instead of her? And she gave the answer of, well, why don't you work with us both and see what fits? So I said, okay, let me ask you some questions. So I asked her some specific questions. Mom, I can't remember the ones that I asked, but I know I asked her specific questions. And then I took her back to the same question that I asked in the first place, what makes you unique? And she just, right off, just put it down. This what makes you unique. This is good. And it was simply because she hadn't acknowledged and owned and embraced what she knew. I mean, you intuitively know this, but speaking it is very different when you actually have to say it.
Yeah.
And so once you acknowledge it and you say it, it makes a big difference.
And I think that you were talking earlier about writing your sales copy and your emails and things like that. Even an exercise like that, as you're putting your business together, that is the thought process that you need to go with, is what's my unique selling point?
Yep.
What's the the reasons and the results and the benefits that people get from doing this and this and this, or buying my product, or working with me directly, and then a call to action. And that call to action, I think, is the sticking point for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Let's make a decision. Let's do something now.
Yeah, it is. And I think one of the biggest decisions, especially for women, is the fact that they think they don't have the money. And that's the number one excuse, is I don't have the money and I don't have the time. And so to be able to have the skill set to turn it around and really show them that, yes, they do have the money, and yes, they do have the time, that there really is this lack of confidence that's bring that to the forefront, I think is the key in being able to have that skill set. Because most of the time, in my experience, when women have said no, it isn't the money and it isn't the time. It's their own belief that they can't do it.
Mm-hmm. And the fear of failing or embarrassment.
And that's fear of success.
Exactly. And that's where associating with people, having a group that you're working with, having a coach that you're working with, having like we talked about dnettv.com.
Yeah.
Having a group where you're accountable and you want to bring your A game.
Yes.
But you're a human, and you're gonna, like when I went in there, my website was not mobile optimized. I didn't have all my tags on it because I do internet and marketing and business consulting, and to rank high for those is like moving a mountain.
Yeah.
It's huge. And so I just said, well, heck, that's not worth my time to try to get the high ranking. I'll just focus on content creation and networking and building my network. And what they called me on was, they said, you're saying that other people should do this, you should do this. Mm-hmm. Even if it's going to be too long for you to ever see this result, people are going to judge your expertise by the excellence that you bring to your own things, and not just, and that's the thing I think as women too, we tend to work very, very hard to make other people look good. Yeah. And not really work hard to make ourselves.
Absolutely. I think that's
like we ought to be.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. So that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So now we're going to look into the future.
Woo! Woo!
What do you see coming the next year? You said there's been changes with YouTube, with the comments and things like that.
Yeah.
That's your big tool now. But what do you see coming up?
For me, I am really stepping into doing podcasts. I'm getting trained on, and I really like that. I love that idea. And so that's one of the digital tools that I will definitely use. I will still use videos. Here's the thing is too, is that creating videos is a lot. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy. You have to have it set up so that you can do that. I have it set up in my office. It really does take a lot of energy. It doesn't take as much energy for me to get on the phone and create a podcast. I mean, all I do is just talk. And I know my stuff so well that it's easy. I mean, I could go on forever. So it's easy to do, and so I like that. It's simple, and so that's why I like the idea of the podcasting. And I see myself being able to do that. And one thing that I've noticed too is I've gone out, as I've been studying it, there's not a lot of people using it right now. I think it's going to be huge in the next year. I think more and more coaches and people in the industry that I'm in will start utilizing it, because it is such a huge tool to gather globally people to listen to you. It's a huge tool, and it's a great tool. So another thing, what I thought about this, and I wanted to bring this up, even though this is not a digital tool, you can utilize these tools that I want to share with you in podcasts. I think that one of the things that is really going to shift people's business, if they choose to do this, is to really go deep in creating good relationships with their people. That they feel when they're doing their podcast, or when they're doing on teleseminar, whatever it is, when there's authenticity, when there's a desire to really be of service, when there's a desire to go the second mile. Wayne Dyer said the road to the second mile is never crowded, and I believe that, and I believe that that's what would help anyone in any industry step out and be a part of the, be out of the crowd and really be in the forefront and be a leader is by going the second mile and using it in your podcast, however you want to do it, but you can go the second mile in whatever digital frame you're using, right?
Right.
And yeah, and the other thing is making sure that you're giving a lot of value. It's really funny because there's some people on Facebook and their ad is really cool. So I click on the ad and I actually think, oh, you know what? I want to get on this webinar. I think it'll be really good. And I am dumbfounded sometimes at what they're sharing. Seriously, it is crap. It is. I'm thinking, seriously? Is this what you're going to sit here and tell me? Like, wow. I have worked with some top-notch coaches, and this is, I can't even stay on this phone call because it's just a bunch of bull. And I don't like that. And so I think that I think it's absolutely critical in whatever industry you're in that you give value, that you say what you say, and you follow it, and you speak it, and you walk it, and you talk it. Like like you said. They're like, you need to be doing this because you're teaching us. You need to show up authentically and be real and raw. And I think that's a tool that you can utilize in any digital aspect of showing up. This is the way that I show up. This is the way that I run. And if you are resonating with this, then come be with me because we will connect and we will move forward together.
Right. And people should want to work with somebody that cares about them at that level.
Absolutely.
That's really, I am going to bring great value. I'm going to do everything that because we're not going to be of the best at everything, and we're not, when you start doing something, you're not very good. You have to,
absolutely, yeah.
You have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. But even if you're just starting, I'm going to give it the best that I can. I'm going to connect you with who I can. I mean, even if you were just starting out as a coach or something like that, and you're not very good, but you have a great network, and you can network people in with key people that are going to build their business.
Yeah.
That you're bringing a lot of value while you're building value.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things too is, for me, when I first started, I was working with I was paying six-figure coaches, and one of my coaches said, give your best stuff away. And I thought, I can't do that. I mean, it scared me to do that. Because then I thought, well, then what do I give them? Because I was just, I'm just like, well, I'm just starting out. What do I give them, man? And it's really interesting. As I started growing as a coach, and I started learning, I started giving my best stuff away because I always had more, and I energetically saw that when I gave more, I received more. It's kind of like, to me, it's like the law of universe. When you give more, you get more, so I always had more to give.
Right.
I always had more to give them. And so I definitely am in believing that if, for anyone who is in this next year, takes the advice and gives tons of value, will build their business quickly.
Perfect. Annette, thank you so much for being here. Annette's unlockourbrilliance.com. We're going to come back and have a little audio time called Shoot the Bull. And if you're a subscriber to the Big Business Zoo newsletter, you have the password to get in and get the dish from Annette, because she's got a few things that she doesn't like at all about sales and marketing and what people do online and what they do as coaches. And we've discussed it before. I said, we've got to talk about this.
Yeah.
So be sure to get that, but also use the resources here to connect with Annette and enjoy her podcast and enjoy her energy. This has been so excellent. Whenever we talk, Annette, you're like you're in front of 10,000 people.
Thank you for visiting the Big Business Zoo and our speaker series, Increase Your Sales, Network, and Site Rank. With today's feature, Global Reach, Expert Positioning, and Increased Sales. With today's special guest, Annette Mease. If you enjoyed what we had to share today, check out the show notes on this page where we have links, references, and a free gift provided by our speaker. A transcript as well as a podcast version of today's episode are also available on the show notes page. Shoot the Bull podcast episodes, due to their candid nature, are available to subscribers only at BigBusinessZoo.com. Subscribing to the podcasts, videos, and articles in this series is a service designed to benefit you in your business, your media efforts, and in designing a lifestyle of joy and excellence. You can also find more videos, articles, resources, and podcasts for this series on BigBusinessZoo.com, DNetTV.com, Podcast Alley, and iTunes. You can connect with our beloved zookeeper, profitability strategist, and marketing maven, Catherine B. Trainer, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and BigBusinessZoo.com. We make our videos and podcasts as shareable as possible, but please use digital rights respect for the content created here, or you could be banished from the zoo to the circus with the other clowns. This has been a production of Big Business Zoo Media, part of Big Business Zoo LLC, all rights reserved.